Hi there, all the beautiful souls that descended into this world to give benefits to all others, as many as you are capable, according to God's grace and God's will. I'm glad you are in this world, and I love you for that, and I thank you for that. Even if you do some little good to others, even though you think it's little, but it could mean the world to the receiver. At least your soul is pure, your heart is benevolent, as you are worshiping God, praising all the masters, and thanking all the noble souls who are doing God's will for the benefit of all. I'm glad you're here with me. Otherwise, I probably would have felt or would be still feeling very lonely on this planet, as we are kind of far away from home. Though it's not far, but because of physical space, it makes us feel that it's far. But as long as we meditate inside, we can always contact home or make a brief visit to some nearby neighborhood of our heavenly home. I want to ask you, please also help me to thank Mahākāśyapa, because I don't think I thanked him enough. And I want to tell you his story so that some of you who don't know who he is would feel honored to know him. You see, Mahākāśyapa was one of the foremost disciples of the Buddha when the world Honor One was still alive, and he was named the ascetic number 1. Buddha had 10 foremost disciples, and some of them had the title, like Mahākāśyapa is ascetic number 1. Maudalagayana is like magical power number 1. And the great Anand is good memory number 1. Yes. There are more. Sariputra is the wisest, for example. And according to a Buddhist legend, Mahākāśyapa, the real Mahākāśyapa, the monk, one of the foremost disciples of the Buddha, is still alive today on earth and meditating in a place, maybe a cave in a mountain, which is named Chicken Foot. Yes, so the one who had given me the Buddha Sarira, your sister wanted me to change the photo that they put on in the first place. They were not the ones that Mahākāśyapa gave me, so she wanted me to change it to the real photograph. I really want to see it now, but I'm kind of far. I couldn't get there quickly enough yet. Besides, I'm still in retreat. I don't want to go too far. I shouldn't. Once you are in retreat, you should be always in one place, as concentrated as possible in one place. Maybe you could be in the garden, but without seeing anybody and without letting anybody see you, so that you can harness all your power for some special purpose. Many people do retreat just to invigorate their energy and to harness all the power so that they can accomplish some task. Yesterday, I had a talk with my dog people. Sometimes it's telepathically only. Sometimes, if possible, by phone. And the dog people even know what I have revealed to you. I did not want to. I did not want to reveal it, what God made me. And after I revealed it to you, I asked God 3 more times whether or not it is the right thing to do, to reveal to you my real identity. Or if not, please let me delete these parts, because I don't know how people would react. And I also don't know how to react to their reaction. Yes, I just do not feel very comfortable talking directly, honestly, and openly like that about what I am. In this physical world, I'm just like you, but I'm connected with my highest self, and that is a different thing. Otherwise, I couldn't have enough power supply to do my work, which is a lot, and very, very heavy work. I want to tell you about Mahākāśyapa so that you know how great he is, even as a human, as a person, not to talk about a saint. He really is a saint. He kept his discipline. In Buddhism, you have 13 very strict disciplines which you have to adhere to in order to be called the best ascetic. Like you cannot eat after noon, and you eat only one time a day. You have only 3 layers of monks' robes, and you have to collect the discarded cloth on the street, in the cemetery, or in the garbage area where people throw things away, to make your own clothes. You can't wear new clothes. You can't buy new clothes. You can't accept clothes newly made for you. You do it yourself. You pick up clothes everywhere, wherever you can, and sew them together, one piece at a time, to make into good warm clothing to cover yourself with dignity. That's all you can have. And you have a baking bowl for going for alms, yeah? And take care of yourself once a day. And nowadays, still there are Hinayana monks who do the same or similar, but then they eat anything at all. They don't restrict themselves to veganism, which is a compassionate diet. Because in the beginning, some people just came and were not used to the vegan diet, so the Buddha allowed them 3 kinds of permissible animal people meat, like those animal people from whose flesh you're eating, you don't hear their cry when they die. Or an animal person that you know is not because of you that she is being killed. Or the animal people who die naturally or by accident or old age, somewhere in the forest or on the street. Then you can eat them. But later on, the Buddha said, you should not eat that anymore. And he emphasized that whoever eats animal people meat is not his disciple. And whoever eats meat, he is not that person's teacher as well.
At that time, Arya, or sage Mahamati, or great wisdom Bodhisattva Mahasattva, said to the Buddha, Bhagavan, or world-honored one, I see that in all worlds the wandering in births and deaths, the enlaced animosities, and the falling into evil paths are all caused by meat-eating and cyclical killing. Those behaviors increase greed and anger, and make living beings unable to escape from suffering. That is truly very painful. Mahamati, having heard my words, if any of my disciples does not honestly consider that, and still eats meat, we should know that he is of the Candela, or killer's lineage. He is not my disciple, and I am not his teacher. Therefore, Mahamati, if anyone wishes to be my relative, he should not eat any meat. The Lankavatara Sutra, Tripitaka, number 671.
And the Buddha was strictly vegan. Yeah, you can see some of the excerpts that I have expounded to you some years ago about that Buddha was a vegan, because he named Seo Dao milk, eggs, leather boots, or anything to do with animal people, you should not use because it causes suffering anyway.
Bodhisattvas and pure monks walking on country paths will not even tread on living grasses, much less uproot them. How then can it be compassionate to gorge on other beings' blood and flesh? Monks who will not wear silks from the East, whether coarse or fine, who will not wear shoes or boots of leather, nor furs, nor birds down from our own country, and who will not consume milk, curds, or ghee, have truly freed themselves from the world. When they have paid their debts from previous lives, they will roam no longer through the three realms. Why? To wear parts of a being's body is to involve one's karma with that being, just as people have become bound to this earth by eating vegetables and grains. I can affirm that a person who neither eats the flesh of other beings, nor wears any part of the bodies of other beings, nor even thinks of eating or wearing these things, is a person who will gain liberation. What I have said is what Buddhas teach. Mara, the evil one, teaches otherwise. The Surangama Sutra.
Even if that animal person is not killed because of you, if you eat it, then people will have to kill another animal person to sell to other people who want to buy, because you have eaten that portion of animal people. So there's one person missing, one chicken person missing. So if somebody wants to buy, they have to kill another chicken person to sell to you, or to them. The Buddha taught compassion in all of the scriptures that he preached during his lifetime, which was many decades. So if a monk is supposed to follow the Buddha, he should adhere to compassion. That is normal. You do what your teachers do. Besides, it is should not do things. You should not kill others to sustain your life. Just like you wouldn't want to be killed to sustain other beings' life. You wouldn't be willing to be killed so that a tiger can be filled. Huh? No. So similarly, a chicken, a cow, a pig, a goat person would not want to be killed to sustain your life, to fill your stomach. If a monk is wearing, monk's robe, which is very dignified and represents liberation, represents compassion, and just sit there, munching, biting, gnawing, jumping a chicken person's leg, then I would feel very put off. I saw it before in some Hinayana Buddhist country, and it was really a sight that I would not want to see again. At that time, I was still, married, a household. And then my husband and I traveled in many Asian Buddhist countries. He took me to those countries for vacation because he knew I was a devout Buddhist. In my house, we had an altar with flowers and fruit for the Buddhas. And he even planted flowers and, cut some for me to put on the altar for the Buddha. When he saw some flowers withered, he changed. And he planted some flowers in the outside garden for that purpose. And now some people argue that the Buddha had advised that the Buddhist followers could eat 3 types of animal people, meat that I have mentioned above. But later the Buddha didn't allow it anymore because the disciples had grown up. They should be used to the vegan diet, which is better, compassionate, and it's befitting a benevolent person such as a monk. So even in some other sutra, or maybe the same sutra, some monk asked him what to do if when he went out for alms, some of the followers give them animal people meat with the rice or other vegetables. What to do? The Buddha said, take that meat part away and eat the rest. So overall, everywhere almost, the Buddha always advocated the compassionate diet, which is the vegan diet. Okay. Now, even if the Buddha did not force you to eat vegan or allow you to eat the three kinds of animal people meat, I would not want to. Why would we do that when we have plenty of food? Even nowadays, oh God, we could never eat all of the food that is produced, not to mention about the no-pain food that I adhere to, but not often even. If you just can live with brown rice and sesame, that would be also okay. But you have to chew very well the brown rice and sesame powder while you have it in your mouth until it almost becomes liquid, so that it's just absorbed, naturally. Because that's the best way to eat brown rice and sesame. And you should not eat the rice piping hot, because it's better for you to eat it cold. If you eat it between 4 degrees and 34 degrees Celsius, there is a chance that you might get some kind of bacteria growing on it, and then it might upset your stomach. So if you want to eat that type of food or any type of food with rice, with noodles, you should eat it very, fresh, or wait until it's cold. From the refrigerator, rice and noodles especially, is to be safe, yeah? So I don't think we should argue about eating animal people meat or not eating animal people meat, or the three kinds of pure meat or not. Yeah, we should not, because to be a monk is really to be in a noble position. For me, Yeah. And the example that you make by the way you live your life is enormous to the faithful. They copy you. They learn from you because they respect you. So we would like to make a very, very noble example, a dignified example, befitting the representatives of the Buddhas and the representatives of God Almighty on earth. Imagine how this is sound to you if you are a child of God, if you're representing God, if you're representing the Buddha. And yet you're sitting there showing that you care nothing about the suffering of another being who was kicking, quacking, or mooing yesterday or a few hours before you chop it down. It's just normal common sense. For me, yeah. For you, of course, I think it may be the same. Most of you are the same, except some new ones or some at a lower level have less sensitive feelings. But for me, even though there's no pain food, I myself cannot even personally pluck them to bring in and eat when they are still alive. In the garden, for example, if it's already sold in the market, then I could maybe, but even then, I don't feel very good. I prefer not to eat them. I prefer just like brown rice and sesame. There is enough nutrition for me to do all my heavy work, mentally, intellectually, and all kinds of other aspects as well. But still, if I can live on just very simple food, then I will be very happy. When the sesame seeds are ripe, the plants have already withered, similar to peanuts. When the nuts are ripe, ready, then the plants become withered in yellow or brown already, or almost no more leaves, no more life when people pluck the peanuts. I saw it when I was in the countryside. My house was in the countryside, so I saw many things like that. Mostly it's like that. Same with the rice. All the leaves become yellow. Yeah, most of the leaves are already dying. After the rice plant gives birth to the rice, then the plant seems to wither and die. Yes, so for me, it seems okay to eat. Just for example, before, of course, I used to go out and pluck flowers and harvest vegetables and all kinds of things like that, feeling that I'm good, that I don't eat animal people. Meat, I don't eat eggs, for example. But nowadays, I can't even do that. When I walk in the garden, I walk carefully. I don't want to walk on the grass. I feel that it's so insensitive to walk on something which is still alive. And I always apologize to the grass if I accidentally, unavoidably step on them. I apologize to all beings if I have to go near. It might cause them some fear or hurt or something. So I cannot even pluck anything. I cannot even pluck a flower, pluck a fruit, nothing anymore. And it just came automatically like that. As you become vegan, after some time, you just don't want to hurt anything at all, even the grass in your garden or on the street. You just don't feel right. You just feel so respectful and so caring for their feelings. You're very sensitive to anything else around you. You walk with respect and care in case you hurt something, even the grass on the street. I don't look like a monk anymore. Even though some Buddhist monks still drag me in to blame me for not wearing monk's robe or for making business and all that stuff. I walked out of my family life in order to offer myself to the Buddha, to God, to learn how to be a better human. And I walked out of monkhood in order to offer myself to all the suffering beings. Thus, I don't feel like I could hurt anything. It's not like anybody was watching or I have any vow or anything. It's just automatic, just like you don't want to cause any disturbance, any disarray in their life. You could almost feel like they all are breathing, feeling, and talking to you. Sometimes they do, and sometimes they show it without talking. I walked into a garden once because I wanted to go into the shed. So I arranged, clean the shed, to go in to meditate at night. I thought it's more close to nature than the room with concrete. And I just walked out before the sunset and took a photograph of some white flowers in the corner of the garden. And when the photo developed, I saw a beautiful pinkish purple color, which in that corner there is nothing that could cause that. And that was the first time. Then I asked, and the fairies say that they wanted to show their love and respect. Oh, I was so touched. I still have that photograph. Maybe someday you will see it. In the Between Master and Disciples introduction. Yes. If I see it, I will make a note for you to pay attention so that you know what I am talking about. Maybe I can ask them to send it, and then we can include it here for you to look at. The fairies of the plants mostly hide themselves in a corner because they are afraid of humans. Yeah. Sometimes me too, because I have had some not very pleasant experiences. Being a public figure, you will always encounter something. It doesn't mean I'm blaming humans for anything. It just happens because people sometimes cannot see through you. They only judge you by the outer appearance. Maybe if you're not their people, your skin doesn't look the same. You wear not very chic and expensive clothes. You are famous, or people love you, etc. It's okay. I guess it's just a small number. I do hope it's a small number. I don't go out that often, actually, anywhere, even before the retreat. I just went to work and then went back to my cave or in whatever room I had at that time. Oh God, we talked too long. I wanted to tell you about Mahākāśyapa. Okay, Mahākāśyapa, he's supposed to be still in that chicken foot mountain, and many people went there for pilgrimage and buying souvenir stuff from there. They believe the souvenir have blessings from the great Mahākāśyapa. But he himself, the real monk, is staying in that mountain. Nobody can see him, of course. He's hidden inside a cave within the mountain. But he himself has just a manifestation body. And that body is in China as a human, just doing what we're doing as a human. So you see, we all have a duty. Even as you are human, but who knows, maybe you came from a higher heaven, and you are still in a higher heaven, your soul, your real self, and you are connected here on earth with your physical body through this kind of silver cord that keeps you alive on earth. As soon as that cord is cut or severed in some way, then you can't stay alive anymore. And if you happen to, for example, go without breathing for some reason, like in an accident or something, then the cord is still there to keep you alive. But if your soul happens to be dragged into hell, then if you stay in hell too long, you can't come back to the body anymore, because at that time, the silver cord that connects your soul to the body would be dissolved. Your body that goes to hell is an astral body. You will feel as much pain as in the physical body, even more so, because if you have a physical body, you are shielded from all kinds of hellish feelings. Even if you are still on earth, walking around or laying in bed, half dead, and your astral body is already in hell and has all kinds of punishments, you would not feel much in the body. That is the thing. But when your body is gone, you will feel it, of course. When you're in hell with the astral body, you feel everything so intensified, so magnified, because you have no physical body to shield you. Many people who are already in hell, their souls are attached to that astral body. We have many bodies, and astral is one of our bodies. We have also the causal body and a Brahman body from the third level and an astral body, yes. Anything that's done to the astral body, the human body doesn't feel much, but sometimes if it's too strong, it could cause some sickness or some weird feeling, headache or some nightmare, stuff like that, and it feels as painful as if you are in hell. But mostly if you're still alive because it's your destiny karma like that, then even if you're already punished in hell, you do not feel pain in the physical body. So Mahākāśyapa has a manifested physical body on earth, just like a human. Just like I told you before, the king of karma lives near Australia. I don't want to tell you. I don't want you to go there, run around looking for him. As a human, in a human body, but he is a king of karma, and he's still doing his job, both in the human world as well as in the invisible world, like astral world, for example. We talk sometimes, yeah. Now, Mahākāśyapa was a great being, a great saint. As a monk, he lived totally opposite to his life before in a mundane world. He was the son of a very rich family, so he had everything he wanted and lived in luxury. But since young, he always wanted to be a renunciate, to practice spiritually. He didn't want to stay in the house, continue his business, or enjoy the luxury. Just like the Buddha, he was a prince, but he renounced everything just to look for enlightenment, to attain Buddhahood. Mahākāśyapa was even married to a beautiful woman, the most beautiful woman that anyone could see at that time in that province, or maybe in the whole country. Excuse me. I want to tell you why I cough, but I wonder if I should. Let me ask. Yeah, don't worry, I'm not really sick or anything. It's just the karma that manifested from my interference with some war people. Namely, this is the Lord, the King of Karma even told me himself, because I didn't bother so much. Sometimes the information just came to me voluntarily, naturally, without me searching for it. Or maybe sometimes I think about the question in my mind, and then some king of a different department would tell me, would give me a message. There are many kings of different fields, different missions. They all came to me one day, because I was called King of Kings, of Kings, of Kings, yes. And that also means King of all the past kings, and King of the present kings, and King of all the future kings. That's why. And there are many of them. King of Peace, King of War, King of the Wind, King of the Stars, King of the North Star, King of the South Star, King of Benevolence, all kinds of kings. Even King of the zealous demons, or King of zealous ghosts, they all came to me one day. When was it? Was me last year then? Last year, sometime in April, yes. Some occasion, they all came just to pay respect. I don't bother them that much because they are busy, they're doing their job. And only when really necessary for some information, I would call upon them and we talk. So we don't talk a lot, like the way I talk to you. I wasn't aware of such a serious name before. I thought it was too long and they should cut it short. If they want to call me King of Kings, okay. And the other ones that just say, okays. Okays means of kings. K-okays. Something like that. When I was writing something and they spell it out to me, I said, don't make it too long. I'm lazy to write. So that's why I was telling them like that. And I say, why do you all have to keep calling me this? It takes too long. Because sometimes they have to spell it to me, and they don't call me just you and I. They call me King of Kings, of Kings, of Kings. And it's just too long for me. So one day they all came and say, this is why we call you King of Kings, of Kings, of Kings, because you are our king. And in the future, when other kings come, you will also be their king. And in the past, you were also king of all the kings. So now you know also all these questions in your mind, why I have this and that title. I didn't ask for it. The first time, I also didn't know it was me who talked to me. So I asked, who is it? And I told you already, I said, this is the ultimate master. I said, oh, very honored to know you. So the voice said, it's you yourself. There was an accompanying being next to the King of Kings who could tell me this and that and others. Introduced my title to me, which I never thought of. Too busy, you know, and what for? Even if I'm King of Kings, what good does it do me anyway, yeah? I renounce everything already. It's just that I have to still keep remembering some, because that helps me to draw out much more power so that I can use it to help this world as much as I can. That's the reason why I still need the title, some of them, okay? And I never thought I would tell you that I'm Maitreya Buddha or the king of Dharma wheel turning, because I never thought about all these things. I'm too busy working every day. Just like if you graduated or if you're a doctor, you can't keep thinking, oh, I'm a doctor, how wonderful, how great. No, you're just taking care of your patients. That's all. It's only the patients that keep reminding you that you're a doctor. People who you are dealing with remind you that you're a doctor because they call you doctor this, doctor that. Yes, they even call your wife Madam Doctor, even if she doesn't have any doctor degree, because she is the wife of a doctor. Yeah, in German they call a doctor's wife also Mrs. Doctor. Yeah, Frau Doctor. So it's nice. See, if you're a woman and you want to be called doctor, just marry one. Very convenient. You don't have to study many years and work so hard for your doctor degree. What else do I want to tell you? I keep telling things and it jumps from one thing to another. Mahākāśyapa never wanted to marry, but his parents wanted him to marry, of course, because he's a son, and he will inherit all their business, their properties, and he will have children for them and all that. So they really kept pressuring him to marry, but he said he doesn't want to. And they keep pressuring him. So one day, he asked a very famous, very good sculptor, who makes statues, to make a statue as the most beautiful woman you can ever imagine for him. And he brought it home. He said, parents, if you want me to marry, this is the kind of girl with virtues, with the heart who wants to also devote to spiritual practice. Then I will marry her. That was difficult for the parents to find such a beautiful girl. They didn't even know where. And then he said, okay, then let him leave home to beg for alms everywhere in the world, anywhere in the country at least, to find that woman for them. So the parents, because of the prospect that he is going to marry, let him go. So even then he was very young, but he already had this kind of monk mentality, monk spirit, monk's heart. So he went out, left the family behind, taking nothing, and with a begging bowl, went for alms and walked from one place to another, making that excuse just to find a spiritual teacher worthy to teach him. He was very intelligent as well. He knew many things, he learned everything, and he was perfect in many ways. So many teachers also could not continue to teach him anymore. But as fate would have it, the parents somehow had a friend who found this beautiful girl who looked exactly like the statue that he had made, even though he never met her before. So he had to marry. And the girl that the parents wanted him to marry also had a similar spirit like him. Didn't want to marry, just wanted to find a master and practice spiritually. So somehow she was very sad to have to be forced to marry because her parents were so eager to marry her because his family was very, very rich. And he was also good looking, educated, virtuous, gentle, sweet, and all that. So she could not, argue with the parents. In the old times, whatever your parents said to you, you just had to obey. Especially in the matter of marriage, they picked your partner for you. They picked your husband, your wife for you, and you couldn't say no. Yes. But mostly they would consult their astrology, the expert, to see if both of them have a compatible spirit, like almost the same things, and have similar family heritage, a richness. Otherwise, there might be conflict. And they ask the astrologers whether or not the children are compatible, whether or not they will be okay. Many other things they ask to make sure before they marry their children to each other. If that family has money and all that, otherwise, if it's just a poor family, they just do it. Mostly, maybe they couldn't care too much. They couldn't afford too much. Now, both of them married, but they didn't know each other before, of course. And Mahākāśyapa didn't want to do anything with the wife. So in the evening, the girl was crying, after the wedding night, she was crying. And then Mahākāśyapa asked her what's the reason. At first, she didn't want to say it because she couldn't believe that she had such a good husband like Mahākāśyapa. But finally, after asking many times, she told him that she doesn't want to have any physical contact with any man. She doesn't want to be married. It's just because her parents forced her into this marriage, and now she's going to be ruined and doomed, being a wife. So, he was so happy to hear her say that. She just wanted to practice spiritually, wanted to find a real master. She didn't want any kind of mundane physical, thing at all. And then he told her also his ideal. So they talked to each other, exchanged ideas. They both were very, very happy. So they decided that they would stay together, no problem, and help each other to find the master somehow. Whoever finds first will tell the other, yes, by chance or by any news or any other person's recommendation. So they didn't sleep with each other, yeah? They have 2 beds, slept in 2 separate quarters. And until their parents found out, they didn't like that. So then they had only 1 bed. They were forced to sleep in 1 bed together. But then they had the solution, like one slept and the other walked around or sat in meditation in the other corner, on the floor. And they took turns to do that. Therefore, they never had to sleep together, touching each other in bed. That's the kind of marriage they had. I remember many years ago, I read a story about a couple, not for spiritual reasons, but for a bet, that they slept together, but they never had any physical, contact until 5 years later. Then they won the bet. Their friends wanted to bet them because they're beautiful and handsome. So they bet that they could not do that, but they could, in all honor. And they had cameras and all that to prove it. So in the end, they got a lot of money from the bet, and they could afford to buy good things or bought a new house. It could happen if you have determination in your mind that you do that for some purpose. You marry for some purpose, but not to have this kind of intimate physical togetherness. Yes, it's possible. That's how many monks also become celibate, because they also train themselves. They use their mind power to control their urge, their hormonal desire. Monks and nuns do that. If you live in a community only with men. If you are not kind of homosexual or bisexual or something like that, then it's all right to live together. Nobody would feel anything. That's why one of the Buddhist principles is that they ask you whether or not you are a normal man or you have a tendency for the same sex or for both sexes, things like that, before you are accepted to be in monks or nuns community, to take the vow. I told you before. And if you live together only with women, nuns together, then I guess you don't contact much with outside people unless for some necessary short time. Then you probably will have no problem with that. No problem. You just keep yourself busy. You read sutras, you read the Bible, you read all kinds of saint stories, you do charitable work. Then you will never have time for physical desires. And same with the monks, unless sometimes it happens naturally because of too much hormones in their dream or in their sleep. But that is not their fault, and it doesn't count as breaking the precepts. Don't worry about my cough. It will be okay. The Karma King told me that that cough is caused by my interference with the karma of some people in Russia. Some of the Russian fighter soldiers who were released came back home and they molested or killed other Russians who had nothing to do with them. It's just their tendency is like that. Or there have been criminals in jail before, and the government of Russia converted them into battlefield soldiers. And when they came home, they just do the same thing they did before. And I interfere with some of their karma, and that's why I suffer extra as well. To prevent their criminal deeds and to help their victims. Oh, we did many things for the Russians and Ukraine, but still, it's not possible to stop yet. Probably needs some more time. Both sides, lose heavily, but they still cannot give up. It is terrible, this war. Sometimes I feel myself I could not bear the suffering of humans, of animal people, of trees, plants, insects, and everything, even fish, people, and small things. Snail people, they are in the garden or on the street, and people walk around and step on them. Oh God, imagine all these shells piercing into their sensitive, soft body. Oh, terrible. They have the shell because they need to protect themselves. But then when it's crushed into their body, oh, it's horrible. Everything hurts me in this world. I don't know how I can bear it so far. I just try to forget. And ask heavens to bless them, to lift them up, to liberate them from their miserable fate. So everything you do for others, mind you, you will bear the karma, okay? It's not possible that you help someone and you become karma-free. It's not like that. Somehow you have to bear some. There's one story in India. One man learned from a master that he should not give things to the poor people or to the bad people because he will become poor or he will go to hell himself for those sins that the people he helps committed. Oh, that person jumped up and down. Oh, it's so good, so good, so good. Oh, everybody can be happy and free and have what they need. I alone can go to hell. It's a very good deal, good business. So it depends on who heard it and who wants to do what for whom in this world. That's why the masters, they don't mind. They know their work is hard and they know their suffering will be great. Constant, relentless, every day in different situations, or even sometimes in hell, or sometimes in a lower level, like astral level, and being punished here on earth. But they just do that because they cannot not do that. Like there is a story of a master and a disciple who was on a boat to go cross the river. But the master saw a scorpion person struggling in the water, so he stretched out his hand to take the scorpion person up, and he tried to put him in the boat so that the scorpion person would not drown. And then the scorpion person beat him, and then jumped back into the river somehow, crawled back into the river, and struggled again. And the master extended the other hand to fetch him up, and then the same thing happened again. He was bitten, and the scorpion person tried to crawl out to escape, but then when he crawled out of the boat, he fell into the river again. So the master extended his hand, going to pick up the scorpion person again, and the disciple stopped him, held his hand and said, "Is the scorpion person going to bite you again?" The master said, "Yes, he will." So the disciple asked him, "Why would he bite you again?" And the master said, "That is his nature to do that." So the disciple asked the master, "Then why would you continue to try to help him? You will get hurt. He will bite you again." So the master said, "Because it's my nature to do that." So if the scorpion person cannot stop, cannot control his own nature, I also myself cannot control my own nature. I cannot be worse than the scorpion person. The scorpion person does what he has to do. I do what I have to do. This is very funny, but it's very sad. That's why many masters suffer since time immemorial. They never have had a good life. Lord Jesus died brutally on the cross, and his apostles, the 12 closest apostles, died also brutally. My God, I don't know how humans can do such things. Maybe they were not humans. They were possessed by demons, or they themselves are demons reincarnated. It's very possible. Just like a saint can be reincarnated on earth, demons can also be incarnated on earth. In the lower region of the universe, it is like that. And we're indebted to all the masters since time immemorial who have been rescuing us time and time again and again. Now we go back to Mahākāśyapa. After they married, the wife was eager to maybe run away or something to find a master to practice, to be liberated, to be enlightened. But Mahākāśyapa told her, just wait a little longer. We can't just leave the parents like this. And he was very filial as well, and a good son. So after some years, the parents died. And then the son, Mahākāśyapa, sold all the properties and shared it with the servants who have been working in his house in his parents' time since he was young, and also gave it to the poor people in the vicinity, and just left a little bit, enough for survival. And then Mahākāśyapa said to the wife, "The road is long and rough outside, so you stay here. Wait for me. If I find a master, I will come back for you." So Mahākāśyapa kept going everywhere, and He found many so-called masters, but he didn't feel like they were worthy enough for him. And then one day he met Sakyamuni Buddha, and just after some conversation, he knew this was the one. He was so eager to be his disciple. He knelt down on the floor and begged for it. And so he became the Buddha's disciple, yes, a monk. And then he was so happy, he studied with him, went out begging and then studied and meditated. Everything was so good and peaceful. That was just the way he wanted. And he became an arhat in no time. But because before that, he had even been going out, baking and eating only once a day already. So when he followed the Buddha, he continued the same. And Buddha praised him. And Mahākāśyapa, when he was very old already, the Buddha even advised him, told him that he should eat some better food with them, with the Sangha monks, so that he would have better health, a better body. But Mahākāśyapa said no, he cannot. He was so used to eating one meal a day, used to this kind of discipline, 13 rules of discipline. So he could not change. So the Buddha said, okay, it's good, it's good. You can stay that way as long as you're all right. And Mahākāśyapa was all right, and he is still all right. And I'm very indebted to him. I want to tell him again that I treasure the gift of Buddha's Sarira very much, very much. I don't know how to find words to express how much I appreciate it. And Mahākāśyapa also sent me a bowl, like an alms bowl, a begging bowl, and some small pieces of yellow cloth.
Mahākāśyapa is still sitting in Samadhi in Chickenfoot Mountain, waiting for Maitreya Buddha to appear in the world. At that time, he will give Maitreya the bowl which the 4 heavenly kings gave Shakyamuni Buddha and which Shakyamuni Buddha gave him, and his work in this world will be finished. A commentary by the venerated Master Xuan Hua, vegetarian, of the Assembly of Arahat Sutra, the Amitabha Sutra.
I want to thank you with Mahākāśyapa for being so kind to me. We were friends in earlier lives, and we were good with each other, compatible. Thank you for the relics of the Buddha. Thank you for the bowl, like the arms bowl, the begging bowl for the monk. And thank you for the pieces of beautiful yellow cloth as well. But I guess I can't use any of these things that you have brought. The relics are too precious to just use them for anything else. And the bowl, I think I keep it for a souvenir. I'm worried if I use it to eat, and it might go kaput by chance somehow. So I want to keep that for a souvenir and for revering. And nowadays, you can't wear chasa, monk's robes, and then go around begging with a bowl. No. It's very difficult to live like that nowadays. Unless you are in some very devout Buddhist country, India, Sri Lanka, Iraq, or Burma, etc. Over there they understand Buddhism and they know if you want food. But in our time, Mahākāśyapa should understand, the Buddha also understands that it's very difficult to go out begging, especially for a woman. And I'm not that young anymore. So I just eat like one meal a day in the house, and I have to do so much work, homework, inside, outside. So if I keep going out and baking and coming back, I don't think it'd be convenient for me. Even though I would love that free life so very, very, very much. I want to thank you with Mahākāśyapa for being so kind to me. We were friends in earlier lives, and we were good with each other, compatible. Thank you for the relics of the Buddha. Thank you for the bowl, like the arms bowl, the begging bowl for the monk. But in our time, Mahākāśyapa should understand, the Buddha also understands that it's very difficult to go out begging, especially for a woman. and I'm not that young anymore. So I just eat one meal a day in the house, and I have to do so much work, homework, inside, outside. So if I keep going out and baking and coming back, I don't think it'd be convenient for me. Even though I would love that free life so very, very, very much. Even just to eat one meal, cooking and washing, I feel already is a lot of work for me. And you have to clean your house, you have to clean floor, wash the blankets and the clothes, and then wash the dishes after cooking, and wash the kitchen and utensils and all that. I feel it's too much work already. I wish God would allow me to be breatharian again. It's more convenient, but still, I cannot. I'm not allowed to. I still feel very sorry that I can't be breatharian, because it was so good when I was breatharian. I felt like I was walking on the cloud, and everything felt light. Everything felt like no worry, even nobody involved, nothing you should worry about, nothing you fear, because you have nothing. And if you even don't eat, don't drink, you really have nothing to fear at all. You have nothing to lose. It was absolutely a very, very, very beautiful feeling. And now even eating once a day, oftentimes I also don't taste anything. Sometimes I feel a little appetite or even hunger, but rarely does the food taste any good. Maybe because when you cook for yourself, it doesn't taste very good. If somebody else cooks for you, then maybe it tastes good. I remember I loved food. I loved food so much before. And I always had a kind of small party in my little kitchen. I had a couple of chefs and cooks to cook for me. So I asked them to cook a lot, and I invited the workers in the ashram, some monks or some nuns, not all of them. Those who came helped me to repair the house or repair the car, or some helped me to clean the golf car or clean my yard, something like that. So monks or nuns, I invited them. They took turns, so it was very good. And when I ate with someone else, it tasted so good, so appetizing. And then I kept eating a lot. But then later I preferred to eat once a day and less, because even if you like to, you shouldn't eat so much. I mean me, not you, okay? Please, do what you want with your life. It's your life. As long as you don't harm anyone, and as long as you're vegan, I'm happy already. But if you want to try to have less and less pain, invisible pain even from plants, trees or flowers in your house, then you can try a little bit at a time till you get used to it. See, if your body accepts you have it, don't cut everything off all at once like the way I did when I became breatharian. Maybe you will cause yourself trouble. I didn't cause myself trouble. I was younger then and healthy. I worked a lot in that temple, cleaning every day, washing, cooking for everybody, and helping to write articles for the abbot and transcribing his talk onto paper. Yes, he had a magazine or something. Before that, I had met a Watarian nun before, I told you, in Meo Li. Not where we live, but nearby in the same region called Meo Li. So my heart ever since has been longing to be at least a Watarian or breatharian, but I could not somehow. Because I have to tell you the truth, I loved food. I remember a long time ago, the Buddha told me that he became Buddha before I would, because I love food too much and ate a lot. I still do though, even though not as much as before. Usually before I lived with people or in the temple, a lot of people come and eat together, so that makes you have even more appetite. And when I was in Seoul, Taiwan also, I invited people to come eat with me. So the more people with you, the more appetite you have, and the more you eat. Sometimes I couldn't go back into the old beautiful clothes that they made for me before. Because mostly when I go out in public, I have to wear the clothes that I designed or they designed at different companies in order to sell, like I'm a model. But I don't have any payment for it, okay? Don't be envious. I didn't know being a master, you even have to sing and dance. I had to do many things, and I still have to. Somehow, most of the people who knows about my designs or my jewelry, for example, they love it. So I had to show it anyway. You might wonder why I don't advocate for 1 meal a day or asceticism when I myself do it. I do it for a different reason. I told heaven that if I eat once a day, while normally I could eat 3 times a day, that whatever meal I don't eat could be given to other souls. And even if you don't meet those hungry people or maybe hungry ghosts, if you have spare in your mind, then the food will go to them in the different delivery. They don't necessarily see that I share my meal with them, but because of the vow, they will get it. But I'm just trying to bring home to you, don't punish your body. 1 meal a day won't make you liberated and won't make you enlightened, because it has to be transmitted by an enlightened master, just like a candle. Pass on the light to the next candle, and both will be brightened like that. But without that lighted candle, the other candle will not be bright. There has to be another fire instrument somewhere, like a candle, fire, a lighter, or even burning gas on the stove. Now, Mahākāśyapa, he was already an ascetic, so spiritual, he learned some with other masters before the Buddha. So how come he still had to find the Buddha in order to realize his holy position as an arhat in a short time? Why did he have to do that? Huh? Why? Because he knows you have to have a guide, you have to have an expert, you have to have this master who transmits the way to you with the master energy attached to it, in the beginning at least, to help you to go back into the inside realm where you belong. Yeah, and then slowly you walk home from the inside realm. If you don't have a master, a living teacher, then no matter what you do, you can say 99% is not fruitful. Even if you can achieve some meditative power like a seer or some yogic power or something, it's not complete liberation, it's not Buddhahood. You will be reborn again on earth, and then God knows if you can still continue to control your life in virtue, morals, and beauty or not. Without a real transmission of inner power to you, to open your own power, it's a very slim chance that you could enlighten yourself and reach liberation, or if learning some other method that is not suitable, that is not the ultimate. And after Mahākāśyapa sent for his wife, she came study with the Buddha, and in a short while she became an arhat also. It means saint already. During the Buddha's time, sometimes the Buddha just talked to somebody, they came and talked to him, and the Buddha explained to him, expounded to him the truth, and then that person became enlightened and attained some level after meeting and talking to the Buddha. It's not because of the Buddha's talk or voice, it's because of the power emanating from it. And also that the Buddha will teach that person a method to practice. maybe light and sound method, the way you are practicing. So it is not like you can just repeat or learn from somebody else, second or third hand from the Buddha. That means produced from the Buddha's teaching, and then you can be enlightened. See, it has to be a living teacher. And many other monks also, like Ananda and other persons, they have to be under the Buddha's merciful guidance with tremendous power from within the Buddha himself. In many scriptures of the religions, they all mention that you must find a living master, a living Buddha. But many people just brush by it and they don't really pay attention to it. And they also don't know where to find the master and what kind of master that will be. How could they even test to know if the master is good or not? It's not like you go into the store, and then you can try some clothes on and know that it fits you. Yes, it's harder. If the master has teachings printed into a book or something, then maybe you can read it first, and then you will know that the master is good for you. Or if you have enough fortune and a little purity and sensitivity, then you might see the master in the inner realm of heaven, of the liberated realm, and see the master doing this and that, and rescuing other people. With your spiritual eyes, in your inner vision, then you know this master is truly a master. Or in his presence, at the initiation, you can see the inner light within from heaven, or you can hear the melodious voice of God, the inner heavenly sound or vibration, we call it. Then, of course, you're happy, and you will cleanse all your karma the day that you are fully initiated. Your karma begins to leave you because positive and negative cannot mix into one. So you see, after, being the Buddha's disciple and being taught by him already to meditate, or maybe this Kuan Yin method, Mahākāśyapa still continued to eat once a day and live the way he did before with the 13 virtues, 13 disciplines of asceticism. But you see, it's not because he was an ascetic or ate once a day that made him become an arhat. No. Even if you eat 3 meals a day, you can still become an arhat if you meet the Buddha, the great Buddha like Shakyamuni Buddha. Yes. And if you don't eat fish people on Friday, or you eat animal people, meat instead, or you don't pray a lot, or you never knew what spiritual practice was before. But if you meet a great master like Lord Jesus, then of course you will be enlightened and you will reach your own sainthood after. Depends on how little karma you have already and how is your purity, how your sincerity, which will lead you forward and upward. Many monks of Shakyamuni Buddha at that time ate once a day and maybe drank some fruit or vegetable juice in the afternoon. Yes, the Buddha allowed that. But it doesn't mean because they ate once a day or they went out begging, that's why they became Buddha. No. It was because they had a great master, the Buddha, the living master, who imparted to them good spiritual practice of meditation. It's not that you force yourself into asceticism, then you become Buddha. It's not like that. Whether you do or not do asceticism, you still can become a saint if you have a master who imparts to you the right way. Because he doesn't just impart to you the right way or even a mantra, but he imparts to you also his energy to support you, to uplift you, just like a blood transfusion, until you become well on your own, which in this Dharma ending time is rather more difficult than in the Buddha's time. But we can make it, and we have made it up to now. We still can continue to make it. And we will not leave the suffering people or beings as long as we're still alive. We try, even though it's hard, it's heavy karma. And there's all kinds of restrictions and limitations. For example, how I live my life now, it's like imprisonment. I can't even walk out, go even just a few hundred meters for a walk or anything like that, you know. Even if I want to take some photographs, I have to see that maybe that place is empty, the garden has nobody looking, or take just some steps away from the door. You know, when it's quiet time and the whole area is empty. Yes. And then when I come back, I have to pay for it, you know, spiritually. I have to make it up more, meditate much longer. But then it's quite busy sometimes. The Supreme Master television additional work is, oh my God, sometimes it feels like forever. From yesterday morning until now, I haven't closed my eyes because of too much work on Supreme Master television for me alone. And I'm not very good with computers or high-tech or anything, you know. So in order to find some English word that I have forgotten how to write correctly or to know the meaning of it, it takes me a long time. I have to take out a dictionary and look all over for it. And sometimes that dictionary doesn't have it. I have only one with me. I can't just carry everything when I'm on the run. Sometimes if I'm on the run for safety reasons, I have only one pair of clothes on my body and the handbag, nothing else. Everything else, I maybe have to ask somebody to send later or go without or buy it on the road. Yes. So I can't have a lot of dictionaries with me. I have 25 volumes of English dictionaries, very thick books. Each one of them weighs at least a kilo. And it's very thick and very big, but I can't just take them everywhere with me. I took them sometimes before to different countries, but I can't afford to anymore. That was those times when I still lived with people. I still came out and saw you in a retreat or saw you daily, you know, when you visited. But now I'm just in house arrest, volunteer house arrest. Can't go anywhere. Can't do much. I'm not complaining, okay? I'm just telling you some corner of my life because you wanted to know. You see, whoever you want to be your master should have a lineage of transmission of power. And if you're lucky, you find a master, even if he's a monk or she's not a nun, but she has the lineage of enlightenment within her being from her master, then you might be able to see her real master, his own master, or maybe he himself is a master. The lineage of enlightenment doesn't always stay in one religious order. It could run to another type of religion, which you think is a different religion. But it's not like that. It's not like you have different religions. Just like how Shakyamuni Buddha was an enlightened master, great enlightened master. And he transmitted his spiritual lineage to his close disciples. And these close disciples branched out and taught others, you know, whoever came to them in that time. And there was even 10 of them, and they took turns Or maybe they had only one leader of monks at the time who did all the transmission initiations. And later when that monk passed away and went to Nirvana, then the next one would continue as a successor, and the next one, all the way from the Buddha until Rahula. Rahula is his son, yes, the 10th successor. We don't know where that lineage, where that spiritual bloodline has gone to. For example, when the Buddha was alive, he initiated people of many different religious backgrounds. So he probably had Brahman disciples and or Muslim disciples or any other, old traditional religion. But they became Buddha's disciples. But as the Buddha was not like a dictator, he let any of his disciples continue to follow their religion. Just like in our initiation condition, I said that you continue to follow your religion and do whatever you do with the ritual of your religion. You don't have to change anything. And just like in our group, we have Muslim initiates, we have Buddhist initiates, we have Jain initiates. All are your brothers and sisters, or so-called my disciples. And maybe we have Baha'i faith initiates. We have also even Kaudai disciples who come into our fold. We have also maybe Hua Buddhist followers who came to us for initiation to have the transmission of the spiritual bloodline, yes, lineage. But they still continue to go to their church, to their temples, meeting maybe their elders, their monks and nuns, whoever they want to meet. And they still go to the temple, help the abbots, the monks or the priests, or some Christians continue to be Christians. And they still continue to go to their church and do whatever they like to do in the church. But they should meditate the designated hours, the 2.5 hours. We should give 1/10 of our time daily for our enlightenment purpose. We want to continue to walk upward. We just take baby steps and get enlightenment, immediate enlightenment, where you can see the inner light of heaven, the aura around the Buddha in your vision. You can hear the melodious word from God, the teaching of heaven directly. So that is your enlightenment. But it's not a complete enlightenment. It takes some more time. It depends on how much you have practiced in your former life already. Then you go further, you go faster, or you go slower. It depends also on your diligence, your sincerity, your longing to go back home again, to be home with God again, or to be in the Buddha's land again. But for that, you need a teacher, because that real master, real teacher, doesn't just teach you by mouth only. As I told you, some people went and pay homage to the Buddha and just listen to the Buddha sermon once, and then they have attained some of the high saintly positions. Some a little lower, some a little higher. It's not because the Buddha was talking only, but because the Buddha transmitted to them his bloodline, spiritual bloodline, from his lineage that he has learned and has mastered himself. If Shakyamuni Buddha had many different religious backgrounds of disciples, and if one of the different religious background disciples had become completely enlightened, or the successor of Shakyamuni Buddha, maybe this person was not living with the Buddha and was not the monk of the Buddha, but he was somewhere else on the other side of the country, or even in another country. Then, according to his masters, the Buddha's order, he would either give initiation in his hometown, or anywhere else and keep the appearance of his own religious background. So people come there to get enlightenment. I don't have to see a person from a different religious order like the Buddhas. So the new so-called disciples of this successor will not see a Buddhist monk, but may see a Brahman missioner or Christian priest, for example, like that. That doesn't mean that priest or that missioner does not have enlightenment lineage from the Buddha. It just he looks different because the enlightenment lineage is from inside, just like the blood in your veins. This is an invisible spiritual blood vein, so you will not see. So it doesn't matter if a master has the same religion as the founder or not, like that disciple of the Buddha from a different religious background. He will not look like a Buddhist monk. He doesn't look like one of the Buddha's monks. He might wear the Christian clothes of a priest, or he might just wear a Brahman kind of traditional dress, or he might just wear ordinary clothes, but he is enlightened and he is a successor. So this here is the problem with many people who want enlightenment so much, want to have a master, but they're always looking in their own religious system. Like a Buddhist would go look for a monk. A Christian would go look for a priest. And same with many other religions. It's like a river. It doesn't have to flow in the same direction all the time. Sometimes it goes underground and then comes up again in another location. And you might think that is a different river, but it is the continuation of the original river high above from some mountain somewhere. So if people have an open mind and they are really sincere in their heart, then they will meet the master. Do not look at the appearance of the master. Look into his soul. Look to his experience of the spiritual way. Look to see if he can bless you. Look to see if he can lead you home, give you enlightenment. Enlightenment means light, and light to light, you see? So if he could give you immediate enlightenment, just like the way we do with the Kuan Yin method, then you will see the Buddha's light, God's light, or whatever name you call it. And then you will know that that master is capable, or he can help you to hear the inner heavenly melody, the inner sound, the sound of no sound. That is how you know that master is truly, completely enlightened, or at least an official successor of the enlightened master. In the Holy Bible, the disciples hear the sound of thunder where there was no thunder, the sound of a trumpet where there was no trumpet, the sound of many waters where there was no water, of river or ocean. They see light as bright as fire where there was just a fresh living bush. In the Buddhist Diamond Sutra, Buddha said, "Do not look for appearance or sound from the outer world, because one cannot see the Buddha there." The Kuan Yin method gives you immediate inner experiences of the inner world, of inner light without light, of inner sound without sound. It's all from God's direct inner teaching, from Buddha's direct inner teaching. That's what you must know to be liberated in one lifetime, in this lifetime. Even in the Dhamma ending time, in such a desperate, troublesome, and dangerous time as our time. When Milarepa went to seek enlightenment with Mappa. He couldn't wait much longer because Mappa, the master, kept testing him, making him do all kinds of work, labor, work, hard work, building one set after another, one house after another. That's it. Didn't teach him anything. And then beat him up also. And he had scars and was wounded and bleeding. And the wife of Mappa, the master, felt very sorry for Milarepa. So she faked a letter as if the master, Mappa, her husband, had written it and give it to Milarepa to go to find his appointed, designated disciple in some other place nearby, another village or another city, and give him that letter saying that the master wanted him to give initiation to this person, Milarepa. So that disciple did that, but Milarepa had no experience at all of the inner heavenly light and of the word of the Buddhas or God inside him. So that designated disciple who could give initiation had doubt. He suspected that maybe Mappa, the original master, did not give permission. So later, that's how they found out that it was true like that. It was just his wife who felt sorry for Milarepa and was touched by his sincere and humble longing for initiation. So she faked the letter. At the end, finally, Milarepa had the initiation, and at that time, he had inner experiences, just like the way you, the initiated people, do. Sometimes there are fake masters possessed by demon, some high demon, and that demon can make you feel like this master is real. They just use some magic power, to temporarily lure you into thinking, oh, I feel something, so this must be a master. It's not like that. So the real master truly is also hard to find. And I hope he or she won't beat you up like Mappa did to Milarepa, and then just give you enlightenment immediately, the way I give it to my own disciples. So it depends on your luck, hey? Okay, but the criteria is that you have to see the light of heaven and hear the voice of heaven, the word of God, the teaching of the Buddha directly. That's the criteria.